William Bolt, a Dutchman, began his career working for the British East India Company and was stationed in Bengal. There, he tried to create India's first national newspaper, well, modern-day newspaper, in the middle of the 18th century, but he seems to have angered the company because he was kicked out of India in 1768. He then attacked the company in publications, and then it seems like he just tried to undermine the company for the rest of his life. So he tried to get the Austrians to challenge the British in India, and in 1776 proposed setting up a colony for them. Maria Theresa agreed, and from Austrian-controlled Tuscany he set sail to colonize the Nicobar Islands in Asia, but he also had a charter to colonize Africa, China and elsewhere, and he had the support of powerful banking families in Belgium. En route, he colonized Delgoa Bay in Africa, an old Portuguese colony, and he got permission to build a factory from Mysore in India, and he colonized the Nicobar Islands. And this should have been quite easy because most of the European nations were engaged in a war, the American Revolutionary Wars at the time. But his colonization attempts did anger most of the European nations, so the Danish helped kick him out of the Nicobar Islands, the British pressured him out of India, and the Portuguese took back Delgoa Bay. But his actions did help cause the Austrians to create an imperialist company, well, an imperialist trading company, the Imperial Company of Trieste and Antwerp, but this too soon failed. His next plan was to take furs from Western America and sell them in China and Asia, and he got Joseph II's approval, Joseph II of Austria's approval, and in 1781 Joseph was willing to give some money, however only enough to take with him a team of scientists. So William Bolt decided to turn to Russia for help. The Russians, however, were having no part of it, so he went to Naples, and he very nearly could have started a Neapolitan colonial empire, or at least a vast trading network for Naples. But in Naples they were only willing to pay him if he completed a successful voyage, and this he just didn't have the money to do. He also proposed this plan to the French, but they too refused, and by now he was strapped for cash and had to declare bankruptcy. Plus, people began to travel along the routes he proposed, but without him, for instance on board the ship the Lodon. His final throw of the dice came in 1786 when he proposed starting up a colony in Australia for Sweden, and King Gustav III agreed to the plans, but a war with Russia soon put an end to them, and Bolt would go on to die in a poorhouse in Paris. However, had his plans succeeded, you could have had Neapolitan colonies in the Pacific, you could have had Austrian colonies in Africa and Asia, and the Swedish could have been in Australia.